I'm coming. I didn't have my audio up enough. I'm coming. Couple minutes late. It's been a busy day. I set up for the, at least part one. Well, it's all going to be one video, but the first part of the important skill sets video earlier today. And, man, that was a lot of work. Turned out that I shot about 45 minutes worth of video so far, and fortunately, the rest of it's not going to take nearly as long, but man, that was quite a bit. And then I had to divvy up the hamburger so I could get it put in the freezer, and then made some hamburgers and hand cut some potatoes for French fries, and it has been a busy day. So I've got all kinds of different news for you. Trying to get through my messages and whatnot real quick. I just sat back down in here after running in the other room real quick. So I hope everyone's doing well. Been like I say, a pretty crazy day. And I've been involved in a couple of different discussions, both on our local town page. I think we're going to hit 5,000 members this month, and that's pretty cool. That's roughly half of the town's population, and that's pretty cool. It's not something that I look at. It's not something I'm concerned with. I don't care if we've got 5,000 members or if we got 50 members. That doesn't matter to me. I just want everybody to be able to talk and have discussions, because they can't in the other groups. So it is what it is. We allow people to talk, and we had to get rid of some people that just didn't know where that limit was. Not today or not last night or anything like that. We did this, like, I don't know, a couple weeks or so ago. And everything, I mean, don't get me wrong. We're having discussions, and when we're talking about this whole fluoride thing, you're going to get people that are all over the board with it. People that are for fluoride, people that are against it. And I don't mind when people debate stuff. I don't mind if they get spirited when they debate. That's all good, But there's definitely a line. And I'm glad to see that they didn't cross that line. I mean, I can be a bit of a jackass myself. A little more than a bit, I would say. But, I try to stay behind that line. I try not to start name calling. I try not, and I'm going to be honest, it's not always easy. But, it's just one of those things. And I expect debate to be spirited. And I am proud of one thing, and that is when I first made the post, there was a litany of people that immediately took to RFK Jr. and just started the political attacks, right? And it took some doing to get people to understand that, hey, I didn't post this to be political. I posted this to have a talk about fluoride in our city's drinking water. And eventually, that was relayed, I guess, and so there's been actual good discussion. And I mean, yeah, it's been spirited. It's been, but that's good. That's great. Hey, that's what it's supposed to be about. That is what it's supposed to be about. And I would rather see people speak and disagree with one another than try to take out their differences in other ways, where was it? I just saw, I almost posted it in the group just kind of as a funny, and I didn't. There was a picture of, can't remember where it was, if it was like O'Fallon, Illinois, or where it was, but there were some Tesla chargers, and apparently somebody took it upon themselves to burn one. And I almost posted it in our group, and and said, like, because I know there's a charger, electric car charger up at our square, or at least there was. I'm sure it's probably still there. And I almost asked, I almost made the comment that I'm willing to take the first baseball, watch, baseball bat watch. And I didn't know. I didn't. But I am. I would be willing to take the first baseball bat watch. I got no issue with that. Hey, it's ridiculous to just destroy stuff just because you're mad, right? I mean, that's like something I expect out of a 5-year-old, not out of a grown supposed adult. And here we are. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Back to the fluoride discussion. I got involved in another group. It was a preparedness group, homesteading preparedness kind of group. And somebody else was talking about the subject there. And, it's really messed up because it's not like you can read for 2 minutes and understand what it's all about. And you can't get that through to people's heads. And you also can't get through to their heads that when it comes to studies, the most important thing to remember about studies is they're probably gonna favor whoever it was that paid for the study. So, you know what I mean? If somebody that's, in this instance, pro-fluoride, wants a pro-fluoride study, well, they're going to pay to get a pro-fluoride study. Same for those that are against it. They're going to do the same. And if you even want to remotely get the truth, and I learned this a long time ago when I got into vaping, if you even want to remotely know the truth, you can't go by U.S. studies. You can't. Because, like, I guarantee you over 90% of them are corrupted. I guarantee you. There was so much nonsense that they said about vaping here in the U.S., and all the while, while the U.S. was demonizing them, you had countries like the EU that was literally putting them in the hospitals. Vape stores in the hospitals. And their biggest thing, of course, was to get people away from tobacco cigarettes, but also pregnant mothers. They were trying to get them to quit smoking cigarettes and at least go to vaping, because while nothing, even breathing the air, isn't completely harmless, it's much less harmful than a combustible cigarette. I mean, it's just the facts. Yeah, brother, exactly. Hetty Hayes, you hit the nail on the head. You must eat this pyramid of food to be healthy. 30 years later, everybody is fat. You got it. And if you go look at, a lot of the studies when it comes to seed oils and stuff like that, they'll tell you, how much healthier they are for you and all that. But if you know where to look for studies that you're going to more likely get an honest answer, they'll tell you, hell no. Oh, hell no. Your best bet's just to go with just good old, original fats and lards and stuff like that. It's totally nuts. It is totally nuts. But with the fluoride thing, had one guy, and fluoride is made a couple of different ways. Different types of fluorides made different ways, and one of them is by using materials that are natural. They're in, I don't want to say in nature, but you know what I mean. And then there's a synthetic process that is not natural. Well, what is in toothpaste and what is in our drinking water is the synthetic fluoride. And some dude, it was blowing my mind. He kept trying to say that what's in the toothpaste and what's in the water is the natural stuff. The natural stuff, right? And I'm bringing it up because it was just that much, I'm going to say the word dumbassery. And I was doing everything I could to try to show this guy, hey, this is not, this is not the case. This is not accurate. And he just wasn't getting it. Not even a little bit. Hang on, let me find it, because, let's see. It'll only take me a second as soon as I see the right. Aha. Here we go. I'm looking, because how much more clear can you get than this? You tell me. How much more clear can you get than this? Literally the patent for sodium monofluorous phosphate. And I'm sure I kind of messed that up. But, I mean, it's literally the patent, and it goes through the process. I mean, so he hasn't replied back after I gave him the patent. So I'm kind of wondering if I got the point across to him. I don't know if all of these people are just unintentional idiots, if they're lazy idiots, if they're willfully trying to deceive people. I don't know. And I don't care, but it's sad. It's sad, and it shows not only that indoctrination and the fluoridation worked very well, but it shows that people don't care about the truth. Not even the least bit, they don't care about the truth. What they're looking for is to have their ego stroked. And to me, and I'm a weirdo, I'm the first to say that, I'm a weirdo. To me, being right, being wrong, either way is not an ego hit. Because I'm not looking to be puffed up. I'm just looking for the answer. I'm looking for the right answer. And I know, again, I'm a weirdo. But I don't understand why there's not much more of that in society. Everybody's got to have that ego rush. And it's just very nonsensical to me. But, I tried explaining to one dude that stopped his political bullshit in our local group and actually started to have a conversation. I tried to explain to him, that the more important reason why I don't want anything to do with fluoride is because it calcifies the pineal gland or the pineal gland. And if you don't understand why that's important, it's one of those things. It would be hard for me to prove. Because it's one of those things to where I don't think they would give us definitive proof. But they talk about the third eye, so to speak, right? Your intuition and whatnot. That comes from your pineal gland, right? Common sense has a lot to do with pineal gland. There's a lot that your pineal gland does. And I will include one other thing. And again, I got no way to sit there and show you that this is definitive proof. But not only is it where your quote-unquote third eye comes from, but it's also related to your spirituality. And to me, that just makes sense. Because the very, very same people that will just blindly repeat, we got to have fluoride, more, are largely people that either don't believe or have, even if maybe they're agnostic or but they're not people that are of strong faith. And I just think that's a kind of a very interesting correlation. I think it does have a lot to do with it. I really, really do. No thank you on that stuff. And I tried to explain that one of the best ways to reverse that calcification is smoking weed. It's a well-known thing. And he's like, oh, you can't prove that. I'm not going to sit here and look for some study somewhere that says it's right or says it's wrong. Because again, that study that I pull out is going to depend largely on who it was that paid for it. So that's not, just because I can provide a link that says something, that's not doing nothing. They think it does. I don't get that, but they think that if they can find a link that says something, well, that's just it. That's just in stone. I've been building websites for over 30 years, yo. I can make a website say any damn thing I want. And I'll show you right now how I can make a website say any damn thing I want. This is our first news article, right? Says Upshur County man. So let's change this, shall we? I'm going to highlight man. I'm going to right click and I'm going to click inspect. And that's going to bring me over here. Right, since I click this, it's going to bring me right here to where that text is. Right? And I'm going to change it to I added one too many spaces, and I'm going to hit enter. And now what's that say? Does it say Upshur County man? Nope, it says Up Your Butt County man. Right, now that didn't change it on their server. That didn't actually change the website. That just changed my view of it. Okay? But I can put any pictures or videos or anything I want and be able to misrepresent to you what a web page says. Okay? You've seen me make that change, and all I got to do, watch. I'm just going to refresh the page. Boom. Back to the way it should be. Literally that easy. Anywhere you want, you just right-click and click inspect as Google Chrome. And wherever it was that you were at, where you clicked, it will bring you over here, and you can make it say anything you want. It's that easy. That easy. So, just because you see something on the internet, or just because somebody gives you a screenshot, or something like that, it doesn't mean it's true. Not even close. I just showed you how I could change it to Up Your Butt County man. I don't know. And he might be looking at that. We're going to talk about that in a second, which is, wow. Anyway, yeah, it's been kind of a long day. I'm looking forward to going to bed tonight and snuggling up next to a big black thing that likes to huff at me all the time. And, she's a trip. She is so awesome. I know I say it all the time, but I've never in my life seen a dog like her. Let's see. I guess I could get started on this because, like I say, I'm like tired. Oh, I just looked over. Sorry, Hetty Hayes. It's not just man-made. It's also, I mean, obviously it's got to be processed by man regardless, but here. Let me blow that up a little bit. Fluoride, a mineral naturally found in rock, soil, and water, is also produced synthetically for use in toothpaste, mouthwashes, and water fluoridation. It says natural occurrence, and it talks about it being an abundant element in the Earth's crust. It's naturally present in soil, water, and rocks. Fluoride can be found in trace amounts in some foods, right? I've told you before, like how nicotine is actually in tomatoes and other foods as well. Nicotine is actually naturally, aside from a tobacco plant. And then there's synthetic production, right? Where they're actually making it. It's a different type of fluoride. This is sodium monofluorophosphate, and of course sodium fluoride are used in topical fluoride dental products. It's also used for water fluoridation, and fluorosilicic acid is a byproduct of phosphate fertilizer manufacture. So literally what's in your toothpaste and what's in the water is a byproduct, in other words, waste from making fertilizer. And somebody was trying to argue that today, and it's like, no, it's that. If you're talking about what's in toothpaste and what's in water, it's literally the waste left over from making fertilizer. And there's no way to argue that. I mean, that's just the way it is. So it's insane. It's insane. But, the people that believe that way, they just believe that way. And there's nothing that convinces them any different. And I have to think synthetic THC, I really do have to think, that these people just truly want to be misinformed. I don't know what else. I don't get people normally, okay? Because I'm different. I'm wired different. But I can't believe that there are so many people out there that demand to be misinformed. I just can't believe that. You can literally give them even the patent to a product, and they still don't get it. So, don't be like that. Always look for the truth. Not about who is right or wrong, it's about what is right or wrong. I've said that ever since I did this show, and I said it for a hell of a lot longer than this show existed. So, that's something I've said for most of my life. It's not about who is right or wrong, it's about what is right or wrong. I have no idea on that, Hetty Hayes, on how much would have to be, how much there would have to be considered synthetic. I really don't know. Really don't know. And there may be many variables in that. So, I'm not a chemist, so don't even play one on the internet. I've done a little bit of chemistry kind of stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that falls under chemistry. I'll leave that at that. Oh man, I'll tell you, this first guy, so he's in a lot of trouble. There's no doubt this first dude's in a lot of trouble. But along with his tickets and, I don't know, maybe his jail sentence and whatever else he has to deal with, I think the man deserves a trophy. I do. I do. Now, I have absolutely, and I can't say it right, it sounded like I was drunk, I absolutely abhor drunk driving, right? I cannot stand it. Absolutely cannot, and I'm serious, I can't. But this guy needs a trophy, along with his tickets and his jail time. Because how in the hell you do this? Wow. And I know you can't see it real well. I'm going to fix that. But Upshur County man causes power outage after driving under the influence. So this dude was arrested Monday morning. He crashed into... where is it that they said it all? Here it is. The investigation showed that the suspect's vehicle exited the roadway at a high rate of speed, struck a tree, multiple mailboxes, a chain-link fence and gate, and a power pole before coming to rest hanging on the power lines of a Mon power pole. I mean, I'm telling you, besides all of his tickets and all of his other nonsense, this guy deserves a trophy. Yeah, I know, right? You would think it's AI. It's not, though. This really happened. Oh, are you talking about the thing from, yeah, it is. That was one of Google's AI answers. Absolutely. But you could sit there and go through, and it gives you all the links. It doesn't just give you an AI answer. It also gives you every single... That was just an image that I had showed. Hang on here. That's just an image that I had showed. But here, well, let me blow it up again. There's links. And everything it says, there's a link that you can go and look at, double check. Because they encourage you to double check. And then they got links over here. You can click Show All to actually see all of the links that they covered in the AI response. So it's it's not just like they tell you something and just that's it. They don't give you no reference. They actually give you every single reference that the AI used in order to give you the answer. So, and as it said, generative AI is experimental. Just and they tell you, double check it. But they give you all the links so that you can do that. So, not that I'm, necessarily a proponent of just using AI for research and stuff. But it is a fairly reliable way to get information. AI's the way I got the thumbnail picture for the show tonight, by the way. What was it I told Grok? I can't remember. I told Grok something about give me a crazy... Hang on. Show me my history. I told Grok, I said, make me a picture of a funny and weird-looking guy that had too much fluoride in his diet. And and so Grok thought that this was appropriate. Now, if I would have asked ChatGPT to do it, that pansy AI bot would probably refuse. Oh, we can't show you that because blah, 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 blah. I love Grok. Grok's like, anything you want. It doesn't care. Oh, I hear you there, brother. About the, it's not the age, the mileage. I absolutely hear you there. Howdy, Kevin. Man, taxes today. That, I bet that was fun. Yeah, you get you get a tax refund to just pay your taxes. Yeah, that sounds normal. That does sound normal. It's crazy, and my hope is when it comes to the tax thing, I hope that there's plans to definitely make it a bit easier on us poor folk, because, man, I understand the tax cuts to the wealthy and stuff like that. I understand the theory behind it. The sad thing is it's only a theory, and it depends on that particular corporation owner whether or not, they just put that in their pocket or whether they actually use it to grow. And a lot of times they don't necessarily, they may use it to grow the company, but they damn well don't use it to grow people's salaries, And at the same time, growing the company, if that's going to employ more people, well, that's a good thing. But kind of, it really depends on, the individual. And sadly, it seems like the bigger in business an individual gets and the further away from the actual employees, the ones actually doing the work, that the leadership gets away from, the less they care about the people. Walmart, when old Sam Walton was still alive, he was well known for just showing up at Walmart's out of the blue, come in on a helicopter, and just walk around, meet everybody that worked at the store, ask them how they were doing, if they needed anything. From my understanding, when Sam Walton showed up at your store, it wasn't a dreadful moment. That's what I've heard. It wasn't a dreadful moment. It was, everybody got excited. They couldn't wait to see him, meet him, shake his hand, talk to him. It was almost like he was a celebrity. That's what I've heard. I can tell you that it is the absolute opposite now. That is the worst place I have ever worked in my life. And, again, that wasn't Sam. That was his kids taking over. And the company grew even more because instead of the American-made stuff that Sam tried to stick with, the kids decided, oh, we're going to do Chinese stuff, and they're going to mark prices up and, pay less for the products. And then they eventually became what I consider a monopoly. Same with Amazon. And, if you think that that Walton family, if you think that they give two craps about their employees here at the Highland store or wherever your store is, I got some bridges to sell you. Some bridges and some awesome marshland property and all kinds of good stuff. And I think that's the biggest issue. I think the biggest issue with employees not really being respected or treated properly is because management of the larger corporations are too far away from those people. They don't get to see it. Yeah, Kevin, that was actually a pretty cool show. I've seen several episodes of that Undercover Boss, and that is incredible. That is an incredible show. And you get to see a lot on it, both good and both bad. I wonder if that's like on Amazon at all. I'll have to look it up and see if I can find that. I'm not going to pay. I'm a cheapskate, plus we can't afford it, but I'm not going to pay for another. We had Netflix for a while, and we let that go mainly because they kept raising the damn prices, but also because of all the nonsense they have. But, I would like to watch some more episodes of that. I like that. All right, let's move forward. March. Or April, whatever you choose. Most left-leaning Americans think assassinating Trump is justified, says a poll. YouTube. Duh, I don't know why I didn't think of looking there. Because sometimes I'm tarded. So, this is insane. This is concerning. More than half of all left-leaning Americans believe there would be some justification for the assassination of U.S. President Donald Trump, according to a new survey. The alarming find was reported on Monday by the network Contagion Research Institute. The organization monitors radical ideologies and examines what it refers to as assassination culture in America. The nonprofit conducted an opinion poll to assess whether American citizens would condone lethal attacks on Trump and his government efficiency czar, Elon Musk. Among the 1,264 individuals surveyed, 31% and 38% expressed that at least some justification for murdering Musk and Trump, respectively. The figures increased to 48% and 55% among respondents identifying as center or left-leaning. Now, folks, I'm center. I am center. In the latter group, 9.1% would deem the assassination of Musk to be completely justified, while 13.2% said the same about Trump. I'm about as middle as the road that you get. And no, you are incorrect. People that are in the middle of the road, for one, they're pretty much tired of both sides, to be honest. And no, they don't believe in that. They absolutely do not believe in that. Let's just think about the prior 4 years. The center people and the right-leaning people, they were disgusted by what was going on. But there aren't people that, a large group of people that wish death in any way on Biden. I mean, it's not how a respectable person thinks. It's just not. And so, which also says a lot about those individuals on the left. But it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And they're trying, or they tried. I mean, you know about the 2 times that they certainly tried. The guy that, this Ryan Ruth, that tried shooting him at Mar-a-Lago, apparently was seeking a rocket launcher from Ukraine. Says here, pro-Ukraine activists sought to acquire an anti-tank grenade launcher and a Stinger anti-aircraft missile to kill Donald Trump during the U.S. president's ultimately successful campaign, a recently published court document claims. The suspect, Ryan Wesley Ruth, was arrested in September after Secret Service agents found him with a rifle on the perimeter of Trump's golf course, with the scope duct taped on. That's just mind-blowing. His golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida. Court documents show that he also considered other options involving much heavier weapons. A motion filed by the U.S. Justice Department with the Florida Southern District Court claims that in August 2024, the suspect reached out to an associate Ruth believed to be a Ukrainian with access to military weapons. The document was published by investigative journalist Ken Silva on the Scribd platform this week. A convicted felon, Ruth had unsuccessfully attempted to join the Ukrainian military in 2022 because they didn't even want him. He afterwards embarked on a scheme to recruit former Afghan commandos to fight for Kiev in the conflict with Russia. He also openly told his unidentified associate via encrypted messaging app that he wanted to kill Trump, who was still a presidential candidate at the time, the document said. I'll tell you what, it's a really good thing for Ukraine that didn't work out. And, I don't know. It sounds like this guy was just complete moron. And I don't know that he had actually that much backing. Don't seem like it. I mean, look at the rifle the guy took to do the job. You know what I mean? He couldn't have had much backing. So that's, I think, good for Ukraine. Because I think if an investigation would have revealed that, Ukraine was trying to work with somebody to make that happen, which I wouldn't put it past them, that wouldn't end well for Ukraine. It really wouldn't end well for Ukraine. So let me have a sip of coffee real quick. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I finally peeled the cover of the front of my my e-cig mod off because it's all cracked and it keeps half falling off. So I pulled it the rest of the way off, pulled the buttons off. I can still use it. And somewhere I've got the adhesive that you would glue phones, or adhere, I should say, a phone screen back into a phone. I've got a roll of that stuff somewhere here. I'm going to find it. I'm going to pull this clear plastic piece off that's on the front. I think it's 4 screws. Yeah. Nope, 6 screws. I'm going to pull it off and clean it all up good, good strong rubbing alcohol. And then I'm going to use some of that adhesive in order to piece it back together so it stops trying to fall apart on me. I'm telling you, I'm going to get this thing to last as long as possible. I've got another identical brand, well, not all screwed up like this one, but I've got another one that was identical to this when this was new. So, camo and everything. But to get me to tear open that piece of plastic and start using it, nah, this thing's got to be so dead, it's dead. I'm like that. Again, I'm a weirdo. I'm not the guy that's got to walk around with fancy new bright shiny mods saying, oh, look at me, look at me. No, I can walk around with this piece of crap and be just as happy. That's me. I'm a weirdo. And I'm good with that. So, I got 4 more links. We'll roll on through them. Trump touts record $1 trillion Pentagon budget. So, man, I'll tell you what. They're taking a lot of what they're saving and reinvesting. But, I'm not going to complain about this. I'm not. Because we have needed to get our military updated and upgraded for a long, long time. In the desert, when they were over in the Middle East fighting. Unfortunately, there were soldiers over there with insufficient armor on their MRAPs, and they were dying as a result of it. Some of them had insufficient armor on their bodies, or no armor at all on their bodies, right? They weren't necessarily the best equipped over there. Why? Because so many presidents in a row had really just neglected the military. And that's got to be fixed. You know, I do think it's important to have a strong military. Not to go be the terrorist of the world or the police of the world or anything like that, but for defense. When it comes to defense, oofta. We're going to get into that. Oh, man. So, yeah, he's talking about dumping a bunch more into the military, which I think is a good idea. I thought this was interesting. U.S. could pull 10,000 troops out of Eastern Europe. Said U.S. is considering withdrawing up to 10,000 troops from the Eastern Europe, NBC News reported on Tuesday, citing sources. The move could come as U.S. President Donald Trump is engaged in talks with Russia to reach a settlement in the Ukraine conflict and seeks to focus more on China. I'm not sure that's exactly what's going on now. And I'll explain that in a moment. The units in question are among the 20,000 personnel deployed to the continent by the administration of former U.S. President Joe Biden in 2022 after the escalation of the Ukraine conflict. 6 unnamed U.S. and European officials familiar with the matter told the network. The sources noted that while the exact figure is still under discussion, the proposal could affect U.S. troops stationed in Romania and Poland, 2 NATO members close to the Russian border. According to the NBC, European officials expressed concern for a potential drawdown could stoke fears within NATO that the U.S. is abandoning the bloc in the face of the perceived Russian threat. Well, maybe those European officials should stop encouraging Zelensky because, you know, last I checked, Trump is trying to win a ceasefire and an end to the war, and they just want to stoke the fire. So, I don't know. It's one of those things. Coffee. You know, I get a fresh cup of coffee right before I come do the show. And most of the time, most of it don't even get drank. Kind of a waste. But some nights, on the other hand, I drink pretty much the whole damn thing. So I guess it depends. Steve, I would think Germany could make up the troops in a minute. Who knows, the third time could be the charm. Yeah, France too, you know? France too. Oh, man. So, I'm not sure what they're going to do with those troops if they do draw them down. Will they make it somewhere closer to Asia, you know, for the whole ordeal with China and Taiwan? It's very possible. There's no way to say with any certainty. But, I don't know, man. I don't know. Iran is playing with fire. They're playing with fire. Let me show you the article, and it probably contains much of the information I was going to mention. Iran demands U.S. goodwill gesture before possible direct talks, says Reuters. So Trump, I'll read it, it'll probably say it. Iran would want to see a concrete goodwill gesture from the U.S. before any face-to-face talks between the two countries officials could take place. Reuters reported on Tuesday, citing sources. Okay, they're pushing their luck here. Negotiations initiated by U.S. President Donald Trump to address Iran's nuclear program are set to take place in Oman this week. Trump said on Monday that very high-level talks would be direct, but Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, I don't know how to say it, has stated they would remain indirect. A regional diplomat told Reuters, citing Iranian officials, that for direct talks to happen, there must be a goodwill gesture. How about we not wipe your ass out? That's goodwill. The U.S. should lift some sanctions or unfreeze some money, the diplomat reportedly said. I don't see Trump doing that. Not at this point. Washington has imposed extensive sanctions on Tehran over the country's nuclear program, targeting its economy, financial system, and energy sector. From what I understand, right at this moment, we have a record-setting amount of troops and equipment and stuff like that that's stationed around the Middle East that's ready to go. We're talking B-2 stealth bombers and you name it. Just waiting, ready to go. There is a little bit of talk amongst people, not necessarily in the know, but familiar with the know, that seems to think that if this discussion doesn't turn out well, that there's a fairly good possibility that Saturday they might launch an offensive. So, we'll see. I'm not a fan of it. I just, I don't think it's going to be as easy and clean cut as like I was joking around about. It's not. We're fighting people who wear sandals and live in caves. Not entirely, but you get the point. And we were fighting with them for 20 years. And now, due to a botched plan, we left running with our tail between our legs. Was it 13 soldiers lost their lives during that? It was an absolute failure. And I know that, and rightfully so, that particular failure is laid upon Biden, and that is correct. But there was 20 years of war that we could not gain control of that situation. And it sure in the hell didn't take a long time for them to put that country right back where it was before we even went in. And in the process, we gave them a whole bunch of American equipment to use to do so. So again, Iraq, Afghanistan is no comparison to Iran. Not even close. As I've said it before, I'll continue saying it because it's a fact. Iran is a hornet's nest. A freaking hornet's nest. They have some of the best short and medium range missiles on the planet. And to think that we can walk away unscathed, I think is just absolutely, somebody's got rose-colored glasses on. I think we're gonna take a hit. And, of course, I hope not. But Iran is much, much better equipped to inflict that pain than what the Iraqis and Afghans were. So I'm not looking forward to conflict with Iran. Just not. Right on, Kevin. Blessed are the peacemakers. Yep. Absolutely. Trump Travel Agency. Oh, man. So, there's also been, I've got one more link for you. Now I'm going to run out of here so I can go get some rest. I woke up early kind of too, and I kept waking up throughout the night. I had not so good dreams last night. So it wasn't like apocalyptic type of dreams or anything like that. They were just not good dreams. I just kept waking up. And I'm still just kind of floored because they say you dream every night. I debate that. I really heavily debate that. I hadn't dreamed or dreamt or at least hadn't remembered the dream or whatever for years. 4 years, like a decade. And then all of a sudden, of course, I would have, one here or there. But very, very rare. And now that they're fairly often. So, and some of them, yes, they're apocalyptic type of dreams. Some of them do seem like they could be prophetic type of dreams. But, not all of them. And that's the way that's the way I dreamed before when I was dreaming normally. So, anyway, there's a lot of talk. And I don't know what's true and what's not true. A lot of talk about how Musk is somewhat wearing out his welcome and all of that. And I don't know if that's true or not. And there's no way for us to know. There's really not. But I seen this headline. And I'm sure that, I just dream in color. I don't ever remember a single dream in black and white. I don't ever remember one in black and white. Not one time. I'm sure that there are differences with Musk and Trump. And same goes for RFK Jr. and Trump. I'm sure that there are differences. There are several people in Trump's administration that don't necessarily see the same views as Trump does. But I have a feeling that he's probably had a talk with them before they even accepted the position. And I would think that they have an understanding. I would think. However, who knows? Maybe Musk is pressing a little bit hard on Trump. And the reason why I say that is this article here. And again, I can't personally tell you it's true because I wasn't there. Musk wants Trump to cancel tariffs, says Washington Post. So that's your first hint that who knows if it's true. Says Elon Musk has made direct appeals to U.S. President Donald Trump, urging him to reconsider his decision to impose steep tariffs on American trade partners, the Washington Post reported on Tuesday. According to the outlet, many business and tech leaders who supported Trump's candidacy have also criticized the move, calling it overly aggressive. Even if he did, say something to Trump, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's some big rivalry going on. It just means that he stated his opinion. And from my understanding, Trump wants them to state their opinion. That's part of the reason why he put them in the positions he put them in. He would not have put the individuals in the positions that he put in place without the understanding himself that there was going to be differences. I mean, the guy's not an idiot. He's not. I'm not a fan of his, but he's not an idiot. Same with Musk. I mean, geez, richest guy in the world. It blows my mind that people call him stupid and okay. How in the hell do you become the richest person on the planet by being stupid? That math ain't mathin', you know? Old TV sets, memories. Yeah, I hear ya. I got a funny story. I got all the news done. I'll tell you guys this story before I head out. So, a long time ago, I was working at Hardee's. I must have probably been, I don't know, 17 or something, 18. Actually, it would have been probably 18. And my best friend at the time, his parents owned a little clubhouse in a town that's probably about, roughly about 30-minute drive from here. And I was at work, and I got to talking to one of my coworkers and informed him, he was an older gentleman, informed him that I was looking for a little bit of green stuff to be able to take to this little gathering we were having at this clubhouse. Well, he said he could help me out, in which he did. And I still, to this day, have no idea what was in that. But we're cruising. I drove there. We're cruising down the road. Now, you have to understand, me and my friends were nuts. My buddy CJ, he's literally, like hanging his ass out the window of the car as we're passing by other people. I mean, just, we're not right. And so we're cruising, and that's nighttime, and we're cruising, and, sitting there, and we're passing a joint back and forth. And all of a sudden, CJ starts looking out the window, and he's like, "What the fuck, man? What the fuck?" And we're like, "What? What's going on?" He's like, "There's a dog." And we're driving like 70 miles an hour down the interstate. He's like, "There's a dog running alongside the car." And I just thought he would just done lost his mind, right? Whatever. So I continued on driving to Pinckneyville. And we get there. And we get lights turned on and all that stuff ready. And I was tired. I had just gotten off work, and I was tired, ready to lay down. He was ready to spend time with his girlfriend. And so I'm in the room, and he heard me talking. And so he comes in the room, and he goes, "Who the hell are you talking to?" And I said, "Man," and by the way, we did have a smoke session before this. I didn't add that. That's an important part of this. He's like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm watching Leave It to Beaver, man." And he grabs the cord to the TV and he says, "The TV ain't even fucking plugged in." And this is the honest to God truth. When they got rid of that TV, I took possession of that TV because of that memory. I wished I still had it. It was an old, big console, black and white TV. Right? Trump, P.T. Barnum? Yep. No doubt there. No doubt there. But yeah, that was... Man, I had some crazy fun times in my past. There's one thing that I can say, that when I take my last breath, I guess many different people live their lives in many different ways, and I wanted to have fun, wanted to just have good old fun, not fun at other people's expenses or anything like that. Just I wanted to have fun, and I can definitely say that I did that, without a doubt. Had a lot of trials too, like anybody else, but I had a lot of fun. How I made it? the father is all I can say, because I should not be sitting here on I don't know how many different occasions. I should not be sitting here. I made a post about, I don't even remember what reminded me about it, but a game called Master Turtle. Well, that's what they call it. I'm not much of a drinker, but many, many years ago, I had a 78 LTD2. Loved that car. Loved that car. Wished I had it back. And we're out at this party. A couple of dudes live out in the country, and we're partying our butts off. And we're playing Master Turtle. Now, there's probably multiple names for it, but it's one of those games to where you have to take a drink, and then you have to repeat something, right? And you can't slur it, you can't screw it up, you got to be accurate. And it goes around the circle, and then they add another thing to it. So it's like one hen, everybody does that. One hen, couple duck, everybody does that. One hen, couple duck, three running hare, and no, there's 4 running hare. 3 brown bear, sorry. One hen, couple of duck, 3 brown bear, 4 running hare. And you just keep doing this, right? You go around in the circle. You got to take your drink first. You can't slur or nothing like that. And we made it pretty far before the game was just done, and as well as us. And he had this Nova sitting in the barn. And, my LTD was pretty fairly mean car, And so we wound up racing. Probably not the best thing after you've been done playing Master Turtle, but we ended up racing, and we raced on just the regular. It was a highway, late at night, not a busy highway whatsoever. The only risk we were to ourselves. You'll see that here in a moment. And so we raced, and it was time to go back to the guys' place. And I turned down the next country road I saw, and I thought I was further back than what I was, as far as on this road. And so I get on the country road that the guy lives in, thinking that I was, again, further back than I was. And I am cooking down this country road. And out of the blue, I see a telephone pole in front of me. I'm like, that ain't good. So I whipped my car and missed the telephone pole, thank goodness. I did not miss the guide wire for the telephone pole. It might have been around a 1970 Nova, Kevin. It was somewhere right around a 70 Nova. And so I missed the pole, but I hit the guide wire. Now, whatever happened to the curve sign, the direction I was going, I have no idea. There used to be a curve sign there. However, that guide wire whipped around and yanked up the other curve sign for the other side. I went into a field, and during the process, I had air shocks on the back, and I ripped the air shocks completely apart. They were two separate pieces. And I was stuck. I was stuck. And so my buddy, the same one I talked about earlier, CJ, he walks over and he grabs that damn sign that was pulled up had a 4x4 post, and he's using it as a lever to get my car to inch backwards. And he just kept doing that until I got inched back far enough that my wheels could bite, and I could back out of this field. So there I am on this country road, looking in my trunk, grabbed some excess speaker wire I had in my trunk, tied up the bottom halves of my air shocks so they weren't dragging on the ground, and drove back, hung out for a little bit, and drove home. Next day I went to Napa, bought me a brand new set of air shocks, replaced them out. But yeah, dude, and I'm not a drinker, and like I said earlier, I abhor drinking and driving. But you know what they say, the first thing that goes when you drink is your judgment. And would I do it again? Absolutely frickin' not. But I was a young, ignorant kid then. So, but, that could have been lights out. And there were many other times, even that I was sober, that I don't know how the hell I made it out of that. So, me and CJ did a lot of shenanigans together. A lot. We don't talk anymore at all or anything, and it kind of sucks, but, a lot of the people that I went to school with and stuff, they kind of got this air about them that they're too good, and they can go get fucked. That's just how I feel. They ain't nothing. They ain't any more special than I am. So, I don't know what the deal is. So, I kind of fell apart from hanging around with those people because they did enjoy drinking, and I didn't. And, the more they drank, the less I was around them. So, kind of the way it is. So, anyway, but I had a bunch of damn fun, that's for sure. Okay, I am going to get out of here and go get some rest. And God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have some more nonsense because, I couldn't do a show without it. And we'll do it all over again. So I appreciate everybody coming. We shall see you tomorrow night, hopefully. As always, shalom. Have a good night, folks.